What's up, and welcome to another edition of Locked On NBA, the biggest stories with the local experts. I'm your host, Jackson Gatlin, also host of Locked On Rockets right here on the Locked On Podcast Network. Today, we'll be joined by John Karalis, host of Locked On Celtics, as well as Locked On NBA Wednesdays, to break down the big event from NBA All-Star Weekend 2022, the Sunday night All-Star Game. Steph Curry explodes for 50 points, breaking numerous records in the process, despite falling just too shy of the individual scoring All-Star Game record. LeBron James hits the game winner to win it for Team LeBron, going 5-0 in the new All-Star Game format. We're going to break it all down for you coming up in just a moment after a quick message from our friends over at BetOnline, because football might be over for this season, but basketball is in full steam for both pro and college hoops. From all the latest odds, totals, player performance props to where the next fired coach is going to land, BetOnline is the number one spot for all of your sports betting needs. BetOnline remains the best spot for all of your sports scores, podcasts, and news this season. And it's not just basketball. BetOnline.net is your source for hockey, boxing, and UFC odds, right to the Olympic coverage and information. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more about the trends and action available to you. BetOnline, where the game starts. Joining us now to break down all the excitement that was the All-Star Game on Sunday night, the headlining event of All-Star Weekend, is John Karalis, host of the Locked On Celtics podcast, as well as host of the Locked On NBA podcast on Wednesdays. You can follow him on Twitter at John_Karalis. John, every year I look forward to the All-Star Game now because of the intensity and the way it gets dialed up to 11 with the Elam ending. And this game did not disappoint. It was electric, pretty much from the start of that final frame to the final seconds to the storybook ending LeBron game winner in Cleveland to seal the game. You couldn't have written a better ending for this one.
No, everything was perfect. Everything was perfect. I saw the jokes on Twitter, Steph going crazy and LeBron stealing the ending there is like the 2016 season, in a nutshell. But man, that's perfect. It was a fun All-Star game. The first half of it was kind of like blah, I thought, and then all of a sudden Steph Curry started going crazy in the middle of the second quarter there, and you're like, oh, all right, here we go. He sets a record in the second quarter. Then he breaks that record, I think, in the third quarter for most threes in a quarter. And then you get that Elam ending, which I think, look, give me that for every regular season game. Let's just make everything end on a game-winning shot. I am all in. That is a perfect way to end a basketball game. And that, like you said, storybook with LeBron getting that last shot. It was just fun. It does kind of like erase the overall kind of feel of a blah All-Star weekend by finishing on such a high note.
It does. No, I definitely think Friday had some promise with the Rising Stars game. I think that was the new format was really exciting and cool. And I was kind of hoping that they'd incorporate some version of the Elam ending into the Rising Stars game. Maybe that's something that they can finesse and work on next year, because it does provide some added intensity. But you're right, to end on such a high note. And then Steph Curry, again, he finishing just shy of the all-time scoring record for an All-Star game, 52 points held by Anthony Davis. Steph Curry falling just short, 2 points shy. And you could tell all through that final quarter, he wanted it so bad, but the defense dialed up. It made it really tough to get anything going. He still walks away the All-Star Game MVP, winning the Kobe Bryant MVP award for the All-Star Game, a brand new looking trophy, all of that. It was, and you could tell when Steph was kind of giving his acceptance speech for it, it was kind of an emotional moment. There's still so many emotions tied to everything going on. And not only that, John, but at halftime of this All-Star Game, we got to see the celebration of the 75 players, nominated to the 75th anniversary team. And that was a really cool experience to see them, introduce the forwards, then go to the centers, then the guards, and you're calling out all these names, and it calls back so many memories for fans who have, whether you've been a fan for 20 years, 50 years, it doesn't matter. Everybody's got somebody that they can associate with and love and respect on that list, and it was a really magical moment, I thought.
It was the whole thing was fun. Yeah, starting with the Steph stuff, I thought, Steph put on a really great show. The almost half court shot where he turns and runs back when he, doesn't even watch it go through the corner 3-pointer when he starts like talking to the people in the sidelines. Like, that is peak Steph. And that's when you're watching an all-star game, that's what you want to see, is guys be their peak selves. And so he made that fun. Like I said earlier, it was kind of like all right, we're going to sit there and watch guys, take 10 steps without travel calls and do all this goofy stuff. Like, all right, fine, I guess. But then, Steph kind of like pulls them out of that, to pave way for that.
Though, but the John Morant dunks were electric in the first half.
Yes,
We will give him that. Right. That was the highlight of the first half. Was every single time John Morant elevated
in a tizzy because somewhere Sean Coleman's radar has gone up. You'd be like, no, Ja, Ja was awesome. Ja probably had that alley-oop to Ja was like the best dunk of the entire weekend. But going back to the halftime stuff, it was really great to see so many of the legends there and, in the same building. I'm glad that there are some people who like understood the gravity of that moment. This is the entirety of the league. This is from beginning the humble BAA, when the Knickerbockers and, in Toronto got together for that first game. There's a through line between that and watching Steph do what he does and all of the evolution of this game and paving the way for the future in, John Morant. We saw these guys, Devin Booker and, Karl Anthony Towns and all these, Darius Garland, all of these guys that, the league is going to be handed to them in a few years. And they're going to shepherd in that next generation. Whenever we do that 100th anniversary team, hopefully, I'm around to see Ja get that, potentially and stuff like that. So the weight of that moment was really, really huge. This is a true celebration of the league's history, and the league is at a high point right now, and they're about to enter into a new TV deal in a few years, and hopefully they can do it with labor peace as we watch baseball kind of go through what they're going through. The league is certainly evolving, and to kind of honor all of those greats, to have so many of those guys and what they meant to the league throughout the course of its history is so important. I'm a big believer in really kind of reaching back and honoring those greats, because it does set the foundation. And, however long this basketball thing goes, these are the guys that started it, and it was great to see them.
And I thought it was really awesome to see how, one, they were doing kind of two like simulcasts of the game. They had the traditional TNT crew, and then they had the inside the All-Star Game crew. And you could tell coming back from the halftime ceremony, both Chuck and Shaq, who tend to be obviously the two chuckleheads, no pun intended, of the inside crew, right? They were humbled and touched about that moment, right? And Chuck especially, kind of, he let his Chuck demeanor down for a minute, and he got kind of real, just discussing being a part of that group and seeing so many of the guys that came before him and came after him, and being a part of that moment was so special. And then to see them kind of incorporate guys throughout the broadcast. Obviously on the actual like broadcast team, you had Dwayne Wade and Reggie Miller, who were both part of the 75th anniversary team. But then you also had, Dirk Nowitzki come by and hang out for a little bit. You had Allen Iverson come by and talk and share his thoughts and feelings and emotions about being a part of this. And I thought it was just such a beautiful celebration of the game. And like you said, here's to the next 25 years and what this is going to look like when we get to, the 100th anniversary.
Yeah. And I think it's, an important reminder. I hope for Chuck and for Shaq to, like, one of the criticisms of these guys is how often they say the things they don't like about today's NBA, and a little bit of the denigration of the current game. Like, look at what all of those guys before you meant to you. Charles Barkley, like he says, I'm out there and I'm so honored because I can't hold their jockstrap to have been out there and to see what those guys meant to the game, and understand that the current guys, they look up to you the same way. And the league of Charles Barkley's forefathers was nothing like the league that Charles Barkley was in. And the criticisms that Charles has of the league now and Shaq has of the league now, those guys probably had of the league that Charles was in. And those types of criticisms of, well, this back in my day, it wasn't like that. You can do that every 15, 20 years, right? And that doesn't do anybody any good. I think hopefully if these guys take anything out of this celebration is those guys paved the way for you. You paved the way for these guys. Now you all got to pave the way for that next generation, the rookie classes like the Cade Cunninghams and all of the young guys, Jalen Green and Evan Mobley, all these guys that are coming in that could be the next great ones. You got to pave the way for them, and you got to make sure that you're giving them the league in a way that they can kind of take it and run with it and not hold them back, not be like that parachute on the back when the guy's trying to run. This isn't a training thing. This is let's look to the future. And you came 75 years with a whole lot of sacrifice, and those guys gave you a league that you kind of did what you needed to do with it. And just because the league has gone in a different direction now and is 3 heavy and is, not as, you can't get into fights anymore. That's just what it is. And just let them have it. Let them have it and just celebrate what they have, and let's see what they do with it, because great basketball players are great basketball players. And let's see what these next great basketball players do with this league.
It's the NBA certainly has a bright future ahead of it. Like I said before, I mean, here's to the next 25. It was definitely a great way to end All-Star Weekend. I continue to be very impressed with the new All-Star Game format, the Elam ending. Let's institute it, maybe not across the whole regular season, John, but let's put it in more places.
No, I want it in the whole regular season. The whole regular season. I know I'm going to go overtime here, but there's no reason for double overtime games in November. Let's just Elam ending it. Let's just do it. It's so much more fun. Think about how much more fun these December, January games are going to be, the middle of the season doldrums, when there's always a game-winning shot. That's always going to mean something. These guys are going to be playing for something there. If you can get these guys to play in the All-Star Game and give a crap about the All-Star Game by just saying, here's an Elam ending, here's a target score. All they did is said, here's a target score. And they said, oh, okay, yeah, we'll chase this target score. Think about what it does for, Thunder and Trailblazers on January 12th. Like that's still going to be a fun ending.
You know what? All right. Well, you've sold me on the idea a little bit more. I think it might be harder to sell the players and the board of governors and everything for the NBA. But for more Elam ending propaganda and all things Celtics, be sure to check out John over at the Locked On Celtics podcast as we roll into the final kind of 1/3 of the NBA season. John, always a pleasure to have you on Locked On NBA with me.
I'm going to change my Twitter to @Elam ending.